Can you believe we've only got a couple of days until the first 4 episodes of the final season of Stranger Things gets released? This truly marks the beginning of the end, and it's definitely going to be an emotional ride. Before this, we've had 3 trailers and the first 5 minutes exclusively being released, but now, a couple of days before it airs, we've got the final trailer for Volume 1, and it's safe to say a lot of it is centered around what we've been given already, but I still thought it was worth breaking it down as it looked like it shaped the direction for Volume 1. So with that, let's dive into the trailer, break it down, and I'll also share my theories and predictions on the first 4 episodes. Here is Stranger Things Season 5 Volume 1 Trailer Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. So the trailer opened up with what was almost like a chiptune 8-bit technological version of the synth sound that usually makes up the Stranger Things theme tune, which I thought was an interesting touch. Considering that the lights were flickering in the street, it makes me think that there's a presence that's there. Or considering that Dustin and Steve are sitting in a van that has an antenna on top of it, and there previously being a moment where Steve was turning the machine to increase the decibels, which is the unit that sound is measured in. With the lights flickering, I wonder if there's going to be a large amount of power that he's generating with the hopes of weaponizing it. We know that sound can transcend the upside down, and it has the capability of bringing people back and also traveling through. So I wonder if they've gone with a van that has an antenna on so that back at WSQK radio station in the right side up, himself, Dustin, Nancy and Jonathan are going to be able to still hold communication. Something that we don't often see being done. I also think another reason that the lights could be flickering is because it could be connected to when the military were initiating the burn. There was a scene where the gateway to the Upside Down was having fire put upon it, which, if the Upside Down now has more of a connection to the right side up, any form of disruption could potentially cause a reaction. Dustin said the line, "This is gonna work," and Steve responded and said, "It better work, it's not like we're conspicuous or anything." As this was said, the camera panned up to the antenna, which shows that it's going to be of importance, and I think it could be to maintain connection for when people are split between the 2 different dimensions. Following this, we then saw a shot of WSQK radio station, which seems like it's going to be the base where the group are hiding out and are carrying out their plan on wanting to go after Vecna. The radio station and the fact that they can transmit signals is something that feels like it's going to be at the core of the story of Volume 1. But at the same time, this base is far enough away from the military, which seems to have put Hawkins under martial law following the split between the 2 worlds that occurred in the Season 4 finale. Mike said the line, "We have a plan, it's a bit insane," and it was followed by Robin saying, "What could go wrong?" Whilst this was taken from a different scene, I think it's calling out that something is most likely going to go wrong. Mike and Robin were in a scene that was taking place during the evening, so I think this plan is definitely going to be connected to what it is that we're seeing taking place with Dustin and Steve, the radio signals and the van. It all feels like this is building towards them driving into the Upside Down, and I reckon there'll be split stories happening in the different worlds throughout Volume 1, as it seems like Eleven and Hopper are also going to be making the trip too, but separately. Following this, we cut to Eleven and Hopper inside of what I'm going to presume is Hawkins' lab, and there was a shot of Dustin, Jonathan and Nancy inside of the Upside Down too, which can be spotted because of the particles that are floating in the air. Dustin is wearing the same clothes as what he's wearing during the closing scene of the trailer, which makes me think that they're going to be successful in getting through. Nancy is also wearing what looks like that pink jumper in what she was seen to be crying in and washing the blood from her hands from in the previous trailer. So I wonder if this is insinuating that there's going to be a character death in the first volume of the final season. It would be bold for the Duffer Brothers to do that, but I'd massively respect it because it's a brave decision to make. After this, the music was slowly building towards this crescendo as we could hear the gurgling and murmuring of the Demogorgon as the pavement was trembling. But instead of the music climaxing, it almost turned into a low drone and a pulsing heartbeat, which made this moment feel even more dramatic and immersive. There was one beat as the Demogorgon emerged, and then there was a second when it ripped open its mouth and roared. But we didn't hear the roar. I think this was actually my favourite part of the trailer because it was the most dramatic, the most action-packed, and it was just so well constructed. After this, there was then a scene of Mike, Will, Dustin and Lucas all putting their hands together above a map that they've made of Hawkins, where they'd have just mentioned their plan, and they all agreed to be a part of it. In the previous trailer, it seemed as though they were going to be heading under a secret tunnel which looked like it was going to be leading to the church in Hawkins, a building we've not properly seen in the show before. So I'm intrigued to see if this is a completely different plan or if it's the one that Dustin and Steve were a part of. I'm thinking it's the same. At this point, Dustin also said, "I want to see Vecna's heart on a platter." As he said this, the Hellfire Club t-shirt was blowing in the wind because it had been ripped. This makes me think that the school that the military is going to have set up is going to have people that still believe Eddie was responsible for the death of Chrissy. Eddie was the Hellfire Club leader after all, so with Dustin showing his support for Eddie, that's what's most likely going to lead to his shirt being ripped and those other bruises around his eyes. With Dustin also saying that, it seems like the group are the ones that are going to be going on the offensive, rather than hiding or waiting for Vecna to go to them. They're going to be the ones driving into the eye of the storm and hoping to find him and kill him, which is an interesting position to put them in. There was this particularly interesting shot of what looked like it could well be a gateway inside of the Upside Down, or maybe even the core of the Upside Down, something that we've not seen before. It looks like there could be some kind of gateway or portal that's inside of it, judging by the red and orange portal type visuals, so maybe this could be where Dustin, Nancy, Steve and Jonathan are going to be coming from. Then I think we got arguably one of the most petrifying moments in the trailer. There were Demogorgons just emerging from the ground without needing any kind of main gateway. I feel like this is going to show that the two worlds are colliding a lot more than what they realized, and Vecna's hold is essentially getting stronger. Those Demogorgons just slid through the tiniest of gaps and emerged through soil as if it were a demon coming from hell. It was strangely beautiful to look at, but devastating for those in Hawkins, and it shows that the threat level is going to be large. With them emerging near the radio station, it makes me think that Vecna might potentially send them there with the hopes of cutting off the radio transmission or signal, which is also why in the previous trailer we saw a cloud taking it over and destroying it. After this, there was then a quick succession of shots that was then building towards the conclusion of the trailer. The first was Nancy and Jonathan stood inside of a bar, and the lights were flickering. In a previous trailer, Nancy was seen to be with Eleven in this kind of environment, so I wonder if she's hiding her from the military at this point. Or maybe they're setting up a decoy with the hopes of luring the military away so that some of the other group can make their way to the gateways that are behind the guarded areas. Will also said he knows where we are, which is most likely about Vecna. This looked like it was in the barn from the previous trailer where the Demogorgon broke into, so it wouldn't surprise me if it's taking place there. If part of their plan is to lure him to them, Vecna might well have communicated with Will and informed him that he knows. There was then a shot of Lucas in the secret tunnel being cornered by two Demogorgons on either side of him. Then, after this, there was the area where the Demogorgons emerged from under the concrete just before Vecna arrived, as we know he does from the previous trailer, where the Demogorgons were now running wild and annihilating everybody in their path. Will was in an almost paralyzed state, having to be held up, so it makes me think that Vecna is going to get inside of his mind to the point where he does almost paralyze Will. This could almost be a sign that Vecna is getting closer, as we know Will has a deep connection to sensing the dangers of the Upside Down when they're present in the right side up. It was mentioned that Will could potentially hold powers that Vecna's going to want to control. And maybe he's going to use Will as a host, hence that line in the trailer where he said he wants his help one final time and paralyzed him, but brought him towards him, so we'll see. There was a shot of Mike on a phone saying the word boom, which I think is connected to the following scene where we saw Linda Hamilton walking around the lab with a weapon in hand as it seemed like the alarms were going off. So I think the group could be looking to cause a distraction. There was also a shot of Hopper and Eleven from inside of the Upside Down where Hopper said, "We gotta go." I'm guessing this is from when the carnage is taking place in the right side up. And maybe they've been able to communicate with them, or I could also envisage an onslaught of Demogorgons and Demodogs just running towards them. Then, right at the end of the trailer, it concluded with the very characters that it opened up with, Steve, Dustin, but now accompanied with Jonathan and Nancy, as she said, "Do it." This is as they were about to drive through a gateway to the Upside Down that appeared to be closing. It concluded in a somewhat humorous way, and overall there was some humour embedded within this trailer, which is quite nice, because during the show's roots, although it was dark, there were moments of comedy within it, especially when it came to the relationships. We've literally got less than 48 hours until Stranger Things Volume 1 airs, and I can't wait to see what happens. It's been several years in the making, so let's hope it's worth it. I'm sure it will be. So, there you have it, Stranger Things Season 5 Volume 1 Trailer Explained. If you want to see previous seasons of Stranger Things being broken down, then check the playlists below. Are you excited for the first volume of the final season of the show? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video, and I'll see you in the next one.